Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Art or Die. I'm your host, Felicia. I'm going to start out telling you a little bit about my plans for the show, who I am, and then we'll go into my first interview. My idea for Art or Die is for it to be a place where artists can find each other who have similar interests, or find someone that wants to learn something and collaborate and work together and create new art or create new interest, inspiration, just something to get us through, not necessarily these times, but just to get us through life. Coming into my first interview, I'm going to chat with an old friend of mine. Coincidentally, the first person who ever told me I should make a podcast. His name is Erodge. Erodge's art is very 90s nostalgic, almost as if you were in junior high and the artist of the class had drawn something and posted it on the chalkboard when the teacher ran away. It has kind of an angsty innocence to it. How long have you been drawing?
Well, I messed around in college, which at this point for me was like 20 years ago. Most of my friends at that point were art majors, and I was always envious of that and also of their skill, and tried to sponge off them as much as I could as far as learning any technique. I always, in every endeavor I've ever had, I have like a lot of creativity with very little like skills. So I have good vision and pretty like mediocre execution at best. So I would draw back then in college, mostly like obscene or kind of stupid or shocking things just to see a reaction or what I could draw. And then I really didn't do much for like 20 years. And about a year and a half ago, I've been sick. I have a stomach thing that I've been dealing with for that long, and sort of started drawing to just give myself something to do to keep my mind off of sitting around and wallowing. And I just discovered that I really enjoyed it, that 2 or 3 hours would go by at a time. I put on some music and I wasn't thinking about not feeling well. And then, a few of my friends liked it. And as much as it took some coaxing and I was kind of embarrassed to show it, I started posting it on an Instagram page, and I, have a lot of fun doing it. I just like I said, though, I think I have a lot of decent ideas or themes, and I have a hard time sometimes actually executing that because I don't really have any kind of a trained skill set for art.
What mediums do you do? Because what I see on Instagram looks like markers or...
It is, yeah. Like I'll hand draw it in pencil.
Mm-hmm.
First, I'll sketch it out in pencil, and then I will go over it like in a black ink,
mm-hmm.
and color it in with really nice markers that I've acquired.
Like Crayola pens.
Well, I was going to use finger paints, but I was getting the whole room messy. So I ended up going with some nice markers, and then I scan it into the old computer, maybe do a little bit of touch-up work for some of my places where I missed the lines, like a 5-year-old. And that's about that.
What kind of style would you say that your art is?
It's funny. People have compared it to certain artists that the names escape me. I forget the gentleman's name who would illustrate for Shel Silverstein with his poems, but I don't know. It's kind of like it's colorful. It's cartoony. Whenever someone asks about it, I say that I draw like I'm in middle school. It's almost childish. I had a friend compare it when she looks at my pictures. It's like a child seeing something that they're not supposed to see, kind of vibe to it. So I kind of dug that because it made some sense.
Yeah, I was looking at it this morning and going through, and you have a lot of images up there for only doing it for a year and a half. Have all those been done since you've started?
Yeah, I'd say I started last November of 19. So I try to, like I said, I spend between 2 to 4 hours a day. So like a picture or two a day that I try to finish. So over the course of time, it does add up. I try to post like one thing a day if I can.
Yeah, that's really neat. And when I was looking at it, the style, like going through it, it has a very, maybe this is just me reflecting because I know you, but it has a really like grunge kind of 90s inspired. It looks like a 14-year-old in the 90s drew it, but I mean that in like the best way. Like it still has kind of a 90s vibe to it.
That's my sweet spot. I'm a child of the 90s. I graduated high school in the mid 90s, and in some regards, I'm still stuck there.
Yeah, the like coloring on it, how it is done with marker, and you do take it in and enhance it. It does still retain that quality of if you were to just have it on a piece of paper in front of you, and not like a canvas, but like an actual piece of like you drew it in class when you weren't paying attention, kind of thing.
That's exactly right. And like I said, I might enhance it a little bit, but it's still like 99% exactly how it is by hand. It's not really much at all. If I have it, like sometimes if I'm coloring on the edge, the tip of the marker hits the page and it causes like a little splatter of ink. So I'll like sort of Photoshop that splatter out, but that's really about it.
Do you have any forward plans to this? Are you thinking of doing anything with it, or are you just kind of doing it just to fill time until you die?
Yeah, which is one of the themes of what I draw about. But I've had some friends who tell me like maybe I can like have an Etsy page or make mugs or posters or whatever. And I don't know. I mean, I think they're just being nice, but I do it just to kind of kill time. And to be honest, I've had a couple friends that wanted to buy stuff, and because I have a hard time, I have an OCD about tearing a page out of my sketchbook. So instead of doing that, I ended up just recreating it on a different page, and then I've given them that. So I don't even know what I could do with it because I have a hard time parting with it.
I see. Well, one thing, I'm the queen of Etsy businesses. I've got like 4 of them. God damn it. You could sell just prints of it. I think there's a market for it. I mean, whether or not you want to turn your drawing into some sort of like business is a whole nother thing, because I've done that with my paintings and then just put them on there. And then now I have like a whole other side job of having to be on the computer and social media, which is quite opposite from painting or drawing.
I listen. I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to do that. I mean, it's a very the thought of even anybody caring enough to buy something is so flattering and overwhelming. I can't even imagine that. So if that were a possibility, I would jump at that. Of course, it sets myself up to endless, rejection. Also, just waiting by the phone for the first call too.
Well, the good thing about Etsy is you just set it up so you don't have to see how many people are or are not looking at your page until you get an order.
That helps.
Do you think in the future you'll put your things in a gallery or anything like that? The world ever opens back up?
Oh my God. I can't imagine that. Again, I've had friends kind of say things like that I don't think so. I mean, look, it's funny when with my art page, I only follow other art pages on that Instagram account. And when I see what real art looks like, it's certainly not what I'm doing per se. And, the thought of me really sharing it out there or having an interest, I can't even fathom that.
Well, one thing to think about, because I have on one of my art pages, I only follow that style of art. And I like a lot of work in texture and in color. And you think of somebody like, are you familiar with Rothko?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, he just makes like big blocks of colors. And there's lots of modern artists that do similar things. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but so like, it'll be just a painting that's just like all blue. And then it just has a little bit of distress orange on the corners. And I'll look at it and stare at it and love it. And then I think like, I'll do something really minimal or simple like that. And I'll think, no one's going to want that. That's nothing. That looks like it took a minute to make. So I definitely understand from that side, but I mean, somehow people have bought my art and really like it. And I'm still like, I feel like I should be like, give it to them for free because I don't know, it's not that good. So
yeah.
It's kind of a win-lose situation.
And I don't know if you find this, I found this in the brief time that I've been posting these things online where I try not to give too much thought to like likes and feedback per se, but how can we not? I mean, we're just human.
God.
And you ever notice, I found that like I'll post something that I'm like more proud of than others and expect like, oh, this is getting X amount of likes. And it's always the one that you don't like or don't think of that gets the most reaction. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. The one that I'm like, this is it. This is going to do it. Then it gets like 2 likes, or I'll spend like forever trying to make a stupid post or story. And then I'm like, great, 3 fucking people liked it. Glad it was worth my time.
But then the one that you almost don't post because like either you're embarrassed of it or don't like it, that one seems to get the reaction. It's bizarre how maybe we're just too close to it sometimes, or you just don't know what people are going to like, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely my problem, or all of our problems. But anyways, thank you. Before you go, let's hear where all your stuff is.
Oh, that'd be so super cool. Thank you. I'm on Instagram at Erodge Rogers. That is ERODGEROGERS. Erodge Rogers.
Awesome. And thank you for being on the show. My name is Felicia. You can find me at Art or Die Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, all the bullshit. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
A little about myself. I'm an artist of all different types. I've worked in various types of mediums, Right now, I currently work in, everything: podcasting, internet, tangible, food, wine, alcohol, you name it. I've done it or do it. I've previously worked in the service industry for 18 years. I moved to San Francisco to work in fine dining, and goddamn, let me tell you, that shapes you. Working in a militant type industry is going to change you no matter what. It kind of creates who you are. And since I had done it for so long before the pandemic hit, I didn't really know who I was. I mean, I assumed that I was just that person who was up late every single night and loved to drink and hate everybody all the time and get off of work and talk about how much I hated everybody and hated everything, and wake up late, never have a full day off where I'm not hungover. And then, here comes a pandemic and my industry is pretty much wiped out. And look, I learned I really like mornings. I wake up early all the time. I also learned I don't really like going around hating people all the time. It takes a lot of energy and it makes you want to drink. So I think after I realized that that was forcing me to be who I was, it made me loosen up a little bit. And then that's when my creative juices started flowing a lot more freely, because the last 18 years for me to try to create anything took an immense surge of energy and drive. And let me tell you, those didn't come so often. So it was definitely a challenge for me to get the motivation. However, now that I've eliminated those negative aspects of my life, I can't keep up with the ideas that are flowing through my head, and I love it. I can't sleep at night because all I'm doing is thinking about the next thing I want to do or 10 more things ahead of that. And I just wish I had this vigor when I was younger. But hey, there's enough coffee. I'll be all right. Okay, I'm going to shut up and stop sucking my own dick and let you guys listen to some stuff. Every episode, I'll have different artists that I feature along with my own and my guests to just show off. We've worked hard on our art and fuck it, let's just show it to people. For our first show off, I'm going to show a soundscape project that I've created. It's my first work in soundscaping and I fell in love with it. I hope you're as excited as I am because I see quite a few more of these coming up in the future. So sit back. If you have headphones, put them on, close your eyes, and just listen. Well, perhaps I should have given a little warning with that, but then it would have spoiled the ending. Breaking open the soundscape and looking into the detail behind it, every bird noise is an individually recorded track. All sounds are copyright free. I didn't record the sounds myself, unfortunately. I've not got that capabilities, but soon I will. The bird calls I chose were very specific as well. There's the morning call of the dove. There's the alarm call of the crow. So those are kind of like little foreshadowing to something happening towards the end. Perhaps you'd have to be an avid bird watcher or caller to gather that. But little notes that are there, little details I like to put inside. I also did some panning with the breathing towards the end. A little bit of back and forth when the breathing first kicks in. And that's supposed to represent just a disorientation and you don't know where you are, if you're the bear, if you're near the bear, what's happening. The ringing in the ears goes away. The breathing then becomes center, stereo right in the center of your hearing focus. And then that's when the steps come up and you can hear and the final kill shot is administered. So, well, that's it for my first show, you guys. Thank you so much. There's going to be tons of changes that come from here. This is really a starting off point. I expect them to be longer and more frequent, but baby steps at first. So, if you like this, you can continue to listen to my content and more of my strange soundscapes. You can find me at Art or Die Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, artorddiepodcast.com, anchor.fm/Art or Die Podcast, or on Spotify. Thank you so much.